Hello, everybody, and welcome to our digital stage. My name is Anthony Green,
And I am Ash Gordon.
and we are the co founders of Castle of Our Skins. Thank you so much for joining us in unfortunately, our last installment of our Founders Chat series. We've shared amazing stories, incredible insight, beautiful moments, and so much more from some amazing Black women and incredible artists and creatives. And we're so excited to be speaking today with Pamela Coats, prize winning clarinetist and artistic director of Sinfonietta VivazzA. Miss Coates has established an international career um, with celebrated and highly acclaimed performances in Europe and the US, as well as being a prize recipient in competitions in Germany, Italy, and the United States of America. She's a founding member of Chicago-based International Chamber Artists, which was formed in 2006, and she is instrumental to Sinfonietta VivazzA, whose motto is chamber music should be performed for the enjoyment of everyone. Miss Coates is an active performer of chamber music, being part of two duos and maintaining a freelance career. She's also an active orchestral musician, having performed with numerous opera and symphony programs and radio productions with the WDR Music Festival, German National Radio, NPR of Chicago, the Rome Festival, and the Gateways Music Festival, among others. Ms. Coates holds degrees from the University of North Carolina at Greensboro, from DePaul University, and the Conservatory of Music in Köln, or Cologne, in Germany. Thank you so much, Pamela, for being with us today. We're so excited to have you.
Well, thank you
And
so much for inviting me.
oh, yeah, it's really our pleasure. I would love for you to just introduce yourself. Where are you from? Where are you currently living? And what's the story of your musical and your creative journey? And if there's anything else you'd like to share, please go ahead.
Okay, well, my name is Pamela Coats. I'm a clarinetist. I live in Hamburg, Germany. I am from the United States. I will say that as because my dad was in the military, so we moved every 3 or 4 years. So my parents are originally from Alabama. They live in Virginia right now. And the last place that I lived was Chicago in the United States. And how did I come to classical music or clarinet? I think I came to playing clarinet like every wind player, where you play in the band. You start in the band in fifth grade or something like this. But I decided to study classical music or to take my first private lessons on clarinet at the age of 20. So I'm actually kind of a late bloomer. And then while deciding how to do that, I also had to think, what does one do? How can one create a classical music career? Because I already noticed that I actually wasn't fitting the mold of what a typical classical musician should be or should have done until the age of 20. So, and also I am my parents' daughter, so I was thinking, so I play this instrument and then I get money. How does this work? So I did a couple of internships behind the scenes of orchestras to see how that was run, including Chicago Sinfonietta. I did for a quarter, a school quarter, and I did an internship in the Greensboro Philharmonic, which is a semi-professional orchestra. So I could see how those things run, and that was always really fascinating to me to see how an organization actually runs. So that's I guess my creative aspect.
Yeah, I'm wondering if any of that sort of experiential learning that you had, those internships and your experience being a clarinetist, if that led you to creating VivazzA, which as Anthony said has this motto of classical music should be for everyone. What sort of brought you to VivazzA and the work that you're doing now?
Oh gosh, I feel like that's such a long story. But yes, these internships did help. And I actually also asked a number of questions of people who were doing things like making string quartets or quintets or I don't know, any kind of modern music ensembles. And I asked, how did you get started? what did you do? How does one um, ask for concerts? How does one contact concert organizers? How does one, what kind of biography would you need? And I have behind this bookshelf, in this bookshelf, I have tons of books on music management. You're a freelance musician, what do you do? Like, what should be your, like, how much should you charge? That kind of thing. So yes, it was, like I said from the beginning, it was apparent to me that I was not going to go the I'll say the normal route. Um, and I did have a number of beta versions of VivazzA, including I actually started an ensemble in Chicago before leaving, and we ended up starting a concert series in Tinley Park, which is outside of Chicago. And then I left, and they actually played for years um, without me. They continue organizing, which is really great. So it was nice to see that something that you founded can go on without you, that you just made the basis of it. Yeah. So
That's incredible. So I'm picking up that uh, perhaps because of your non-standard entry into this world, you were hyper aware from basically the onset of your music enterprise that you wanted to wear multiple hats within this world. And in wearing these multiple hats, you were doing as much research and studying about management and organizing and all of this, as well as technique and airflow and instrument maintenance and picking up gigs and all of that. How did you balance all of this? And was it painful to leave the ensemble that you left behind in Chicago?
yes, it was actually painful to leave that ensemble. It was also painful for me to leave the International Chamber Artists as well. But I had in my head this idea of um, of being a freelance musician and having a number of ensembles to play with, and through these different ensembles and maybe organizing for myself, that I would actually be able to make a life for myself. And I was able to discern at the time that um, maybe the ensemble or the situation was such that I wouldn't be able to, I'll say, make a living with that one ensemble or one or two or that kind of thing. I couldn't see myself doing that. And as well, the first ensemble um, before International Chamber Artists, it was I'll say like a kind of a trial run kind of thing, and then I got accepted into Cologne, into the conservatory there, and and I was so involved with that and trying to find out, how does the system work here? How does the system work here? How can I make a life here? Because I found that you can write for more grants, you can start things here, and people actually pay money to hear you play. I mean, woo, what? um, so I really wanted to make a go of it here. And also I found that it was quite, I don't, how to explain it. I felt like I could research more about music here, like the different types of pieces. I found that I am more, I have like a kind of beeline towards pieces that people rarely play, or in different formats. Um, and there's so many composers that people hardly play, and it's just incredible, just the amount of good material that's sitting around here, dusty, somewhere in some dusty library somewhere. So I mean, it's just really actually fascinated me. And I found that I could go once or twice a year to Chicago to the Harold Washington Library, which is amazing. It's an amazing library. And just like sit there and photocopy tons of music and do that. Or I could be in Germany and just go down the street and find this and that and the other. Or I could be in the United States and try to do all the research that I am still doing and was doing in Germany. And I felt like that Germany or Europe was more where I needed to be. Does that make sense?
That makes total sense, and that's really interesting. It sounds from what I'm hearing that you have I call it, your spine, your North Star, but you have this foundational mission that it doesn't matter if you're in Chicago, if it doesn't matter if you're in Germany, there's this mission of research, of sharing, of inclusion, of presenting new narratives. And I wonder if you can maybe talk more with examples of some programming or some repertoire or certain projects that you might have had with the International Chamber Artists, with the work that you're doing in Germany, and just give some examples of that kind of connectivity that you have across the pond.
Okay, I'm like, 45 minutes later. I don't know where to start. Well, I can give one example from with ICA that I'm pretty proud of. There's a piece, a piano quintet piece by a Heinrich von Herzogenberg, and he was best friends with Brahms, or actually his wife was best friends with Brahms. And he was the teacher of Ethel Smith, who was this women's suffrage in Britain. And actually it's really funny because Brahms called her his little oboe, which I don't know what that actually means, but I think it would be nice to be proud of that. But I listened, for some odd reason, I found this piece, or I'd heard it on a CD, and I thought this is really great. And the horn player, who's the wife of the artistic director of ICA, she's really wonderful, Carrie. And it sounds like a symphony. It's piano and then winds. And I only found one recording, and it wasn't so good. But I brought it over, and nobody had heard of it, of course. And we had lessons with Mary Sauer, who was the principal, the pianist of Chicago Symphony, and now Patrick Godin is the pianist of Chicago Symphony. And she was like, "You guys play this so much better. You guys have to play this more often." And actually, I was able to bring that ensemble over to Germany and do a little tour with the von Herzogenberg, and I think we did the chamber music version of Soldier's Tale. I want to say Geschichte von Soldaten. German, sorry. So that's an example. I can actually even do an example before ICA and in between this ensemble that we talked about that I had started with the Tinley Park series. When I studied at DePaul, when I got there, I was on a Prokofiev kick. I just was like, Prokofiev, he's my man, I love him. So there was this quintet, Opus 39, and I thought it was so great. It was such a great piece. And I did all this research about it, and I found out that it was, originally he had written a ballet with that instrumentation. And I just was like, this needs to happen. It needs to have a ballet. Okay, so I need to play this piece with ballet. And actually, I pulled it off. My first year of graduate studies, I was only interested in actually playing this piece. I said, I want to do recital. I want to do this. I called a choreographer. I found a choreographer. So she found dancers, and we literally put that on. And in the mindset of how would that have looked in Prokofiev's time, and how can we make that modern? No? So, and okay, so everybody knows well, not everybody. That's the thing. Not everybody knows. We think, as musicians, everybody knows this person. Everybody knows Victor Ullmann. Everybody knows Chevalier St. George. No, they don't. but I'm going to say for musicians' purposes, everybody knows Chevalier de Saint George. Okay. Well, also in the same time of him, there is a Czech composer named Václav Pichel. And if you're thinking that actually Chevalier St. George, he actually wrote a clarinet concerto that hasn't been found yet, but it was actually more famous and more widely played than the Mozart clarinet concerto at the time. So, and I'm just itching to go to some French library, some dusty library, and try to figure out where this possibly could be. And at the same time, Václav Pichel wrote a clarinet and string quartet. So 3 strings and the clarinet. And it's just delightful. And he has like a crazy story. He died on the stage, had a heart attack while playing violin. I think that's all those kinds of things. I think it's kind of, you know, really interesting to bring in to a program. And what's really interesting is that I wasn't able to find it, like to buy it. I had to go to the British Public Library or contact the British Public Library, and they gave me a facsimile from the last printing of this piece, which was 1791. So yeah, so there's a number of librarians in North Rhine-Westphalia that when they see me, they don't turn around. I'm very excited. They don't run away when I come and meet them. But there's just so much music. I can't even fathom. Oh, for example, the last concert we played all together in January, we played a piece from Francis Poulenc that originally was for piano, and he rewrote it himself for Nonette. And it was just a delight to be able to play this piece and to present it in a concert series that was in a venue that's actually for piano. So that was really cool.
Yeah, I think the program that I saw at VivazzA, you also programmed that Poulenc, and it was really, really beautiful. Not only was the music beautiful, but Poulenc's ideas, his orchestrational ideas were just fascinating. And I'm so glad that you've talked about the frustrations of getting scores, because I remember way back in the day, I wanted to get a score of a piano quartet by Kulau. And I just thought Kulau was a pretty well respected, known composer. But getting this music is practically impossible. And I ended up way back in the day turning to Craigslist to find someone in California who could go to a library and get me a photocopy of a microfilm of the parts. So people watching this, trust me, musicians go through a lot more than just rehearsing and learning their notes. It's insane what we have to do. But getting back to the interview, I would love for you to talk a little bit more about some behind the scenes beautiful moments that you've had with VivazzA, and perhaps some behind the scenes not so beautiful moments that you had with VivazzA. This could be from stories that audience members have shared with you, or even just comments of praise. And maybe more frustrations of finding music, or I don't know, German bureaucracy, which, yeah.
Mercy. Sorry. Well, I feel like every project from VivazzA is a beautiful moment, because the idea of basing an ensemble on a nonette. So we're not a nonette, so we now have a harp, and actually we're slowly, I know we have harps, so we're a tentet. And I feel like we're slowly gathering. I think we'll probably not be any more than 15 maximum. So to still have the chamber music vibe within an orchestral kind of sound. so every moment, every project is really lovely because the audience members have never seen a nonette, which is just strange because it started in Louis Spohr time. So we're talking 1800. So it should be actually more like out there. And that's actually a whole nother business administrative part thought in my mind is that I feel like classical music in the format where it is right now is, in my opinion, it's not viable how it is right now. I feel like having ensembles like this nonette where we have strings and we have winds and we actually can play symphonic music. So and we sound like a symphony. And actually, that's a nice praise to hear even from concert organizers when they say, "Oh, it's like we had a symphony orchestra in our own chamber music hall." That's really lovely, no? And then also to hear from the musicians who play with us. I've never played in an ensemble like this. This is a really cool idea, and so that's really lovely. And I mean, we play so many different kinds of programs. We play with theater, we play with opera companies, we've played Magic Flute in small format, you know, with us with 10 players, then with whatever, how many singers that you can pack on a stage. Of course, that's how they do that. But and also children's programs, but we don't do just the same, I'll say, standard in a standard format where people read off of in a book and then the kids are just frontal being taught. It's always interactive. And we try to also have with all of our audience members, we try to have an interactive, we have tried to have a connection with them. And like, for example, our motto, chamber music is actually for the enjoyment for everybody. And actually classical music should be for the enjoyment of everyone.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. And this reminds me of a conversation we had with another one of our guests who is based in Berlin, Dr. Danelle Daude from the string orchestra. And we had a conversation with her around diversity as it relates to classical music. Certainly being in Europe, Berlin, Germany, and our perspective, well, I should say my perspective being in Boston, Anthony, or in the Netherlands. But I wonder, especially Pamela, since you have a Chicago Sinfonietta, right? Gateways is how I know you, where we met. You have an experience as it relates to the States, as it relates to diversity in classical music, going to Cannes and creating in a space where there's maybe more financial support for your music. I wonder if there's support in other ways, specifically as it relates to diversity. Can you share a little bit from this dual perspective that you have?
I find it to be kind of hard. It's a hard thing to discuss. Well, it's not hard to discuss, but it's hard to like put into words because so I got into the conservatory in Cologne, and the premise of the conservatory. Okay, I actually don't know which direction I should go. Like I have whole, like I can talk reams and reams about this because I've been really thinking about this, and the idea that Europe is so white, and so therefore you have a lot of white. No, no. There's a lot of migrants. There's a lot of second and third generation immigrants in Germany or in France or in the Netherlands. I mean, so the question should be, why don't we see more Black and brown people? So more Turkish people, for example, in Germany, more Turkish people, more Iranian people, more Black people. For me, it's a real question, and it's a question from study onwards for myself. Because when I went there, I was the only I was the only instrumental full-on Black person. There was a biracial violinist. I don't know where she is now. There, halfway through my study, a jazz trumpeter came and he auditioned, and I said, "Dude, you better get in because I'm tired of being the only person." So he got in, but you have some really funky things happening. You know, when you are trying to navigate the official lines, and you hear just crazy stuff. You hear things like, "I never knew classical clarinetist would be black," or I mean, you just hear just crazy stuff. And then you have um, this closed door policy where there are things that you don't know, and you don't know that you don't know, and they have like different ways of doing things. And if you are in the know, then you get the prize, you'll get the grants, or you get the whatever. And if you don't know that how that works, then you don't get it. Um, and also, I have to watch myself to think when something happens. So I've had experience where I actually went to talk about my ensemble and talk about a particular grant that was from the state of North Rhine-Westphalia, for example. I think I can say that. Um, and so the guy he said, "Excuse me, I don't mean to be rude, but who are you?" I was like, "What?" And I left there, and luckily for me, I'm in a mentoring program for women in leadership in the arts, that's sponsored with Deutsche Kulturrat. That's the the National Ministry of Culture. And if you get accepted into this program, you have a mentor. And I was able to call this mentor after this experience. And he was like, "Yes, they do this. That's how they do." Because I was ready. I was ready to fight. And, and then you have the thing of, you're a Black person, probably you do global music or world music, or you sing, or you don't get placed in as a classical musician, and it's a strange atmosphere. I want to talk about something really, really, really important. Um, I did a program with the Cologne State Orchestra. They hired me to go into the schools to prepare kids for a children's program that was for clarinet and actor. It was based on Pinocchio. I went in the schools, and the first year that I did it, I was in what they call the gymnasium, and that's where the kids that are going to go to college go. Okay, that's the high school where the kids that are going to college are mainly go. The second year, I went to um, what they call Hauptschule and Realschule, and those are, I'll say, they more likely go to technical schools, or they have to do their high school diploma in a different way. And then I saw more people that look like us, and it was it was an amazing thing. I was astounded. The kids were astounded because they saw for the first time a Black person who was a teacher in authoritative position and played a classical instrument. And I literally saw children walking into the room and then straightening up their backs because they were proud to see someone like them. Now, I have been talking, must have been in 2013, 2011, 2013. I have been talking since then to anybody who would listen, that there needs to be some kind of program, and not this, no offense, German people, not this, we're doing a diversity program, we're going in for a couple years, doing some kind of, here, happy, happy, happy kids, here's an instrument, and then leaving you on your own, but literally some systematic thing. And I've been talking for years about this. I don't know, maybe in the next year I'll be able to do something. There's like a talk with a foundation that I've been talking to, specifically going into schools with classical music, and going into schools that are more technical trade schools. And I won't say that they particularly are against kids with migrant backgrounds, but I will say that they don't have music or arts really in those schools. And so therefore, for example, I was the only classical music or music program that they were going to have for a whole semester sometimes. And I don't think that's acceptable. So, so I'm fighting for with this where in this juxtaposition of you don't fit our schema of things, and then what the amount of grants and things that are available in Europe to be able to do things, but trying to get through so that you can actually do something. Does that make sense?
No, that makes perfect sense. And it's really an incredible story that you just shared, this last story about these students. It's making me a little bit emotional, to be honest. We see quite a bit of that in the United States as well. Not so much a separation of the children, but definitely this experience of being a person with brown skin, connecting with these young students who don't necessarily expect a person with brown skin to play a classical instrument or to compose something in a classical style. And to see the change on their face when they realize, oh, yeah, there are people that look like me that do this. It's such a rewarding feeling. And I haven't had this experience yet in Europe because I haven't worked with many children on a grand scale here in Europe. But I just imagine that when you were a part of this, that you were filled with pride. So thank you so much for doing that and for being part of this legacy in Europe. And if you need any help, please, I want to be there with you. Um, so we unfortunately have to talk a little bit about what's been going on in the world recently. Um, and even though you are in one of the countries that has been handling this current pandemic rather well, I'm still curious to know how have these past couple of months been for you and your work with VivazzA and your freelance work, and what are some of your post-pandemic plans?
Well, so I'm lucky to live in Germany because the Ministry of Culture, I guess you would call it, set out grants for freelance musicians. They set out a series of grants for people from March through July, and they just did another one from July and August that's called New Start or Neustart. I always laugh when they do English words in there. anyway, so that's really great, and there have been grants for some freelance ensembles that are like really out there and going on tours and stuff like that. They've gotten grants from the state. There's even from I guess you call them 501(c)(3) whatever. These organizations have also gotten grants or are able to get grants. You're also able to get grants to do things at home, like performances at home or that kind of thing. So that's been really great. As far as VivazzA or myself is concerned, yes, of course, all of the concerts just like cancel. Luckily for us, for VivazzA, The we're project based, so only one project got canceled. We also have a chamber music course for amateur winds and strings that was supposed to happen in, oh yes, yeah, I'm doing all the stuff, the mostest. That was supposed to happen in March, and now we're going to have it happen in the end of August. And the most important thing is that I guess Germans like to follow rules. So they were all about putting your mask on and 2 meters or 6 feet away from each other and all these kinds of things. And that's why we are now able to start having concerts under like certain conditions of maybe a hall that has seats 2,000 can only seat 300. Or a hall that seats 300 or church that seats 300 can only have 30 people in it. So our next project, so the chamber music course, since we only had about 14 people there, 14, 16 people, we were able to still do it. And we're still able to do it in the place that we were having it. And it's that there's like rules and regulations. And we do a teacher's concert on the Saturday. And that's going to be able to also happen because I'll say 46 people are allowed in the church. And we probably will do a live stream, I hope, knock, knock on wood. And and our next big project, Aurora Revisited, is also going to still be able to take place because of these kinds of conditions. And for the solo part, I still also am able to do concerts. I will be doing a concert in September in Munich in the Gasteig. And it involves women. It's a women's artist society called GADOC, and they're doing their it's a jubileum year from GADOC, and they're having this nationwide concert in Munich, and that's going to happen. But of course, only 30 people are allowed in the small hall or that kind of thing. So that's been really great. And what's going to be great also is that we have taken Beethoven's Symphony No. 3, and we have had it arranged for Nonette, so people can actually see that you can actually play symphonic works in the chamber music formation. And we also have our first composition. How do you call it? We've Kompositionsauftrag. I don't know the word. The word
commission.
Thank you. We have had our first commission from a Peruvian Holland composer. Her name is Alejandra Castro, and she is making a piece that's been inspired by Fidelio. So in Fidelio, the opera, the woman was the main character, and so her so excited about this. The text that she's using is from the Afro-Peruvian civil rights activist who was assassinated, Elena Moyano. She will be using her text. So I'm really excited that we're going to be able to still pull this off. Oh, and a great aside is that if you received grants, notification that you would receive grants for this year, in Germany, you can postpone your concert if you feel like you're not going to be able to do it in any way. You can postpone it to 2021, and it won't affect you asking for grants for 2021 as well. So
that's definitely a lot. That sounds like a full plate of really exciting projects. So I'm wondering, wow, how can people stay in touch, like, tweet, share, follow, join mailing lists, etc. with you personally and with VivazzA? How can they? It sounds like there's lots of educational components. How can they be involved? Any digital programming you do? How can people just in general learn more and stay connected?
Well, we have a website, www.vivazza.com. We also have a Facebook page, which is Sinfonietta VivazzA. And we have a YouTube channel. So that's all I'm able to somehow semi-manage. Luckily, I have some little helpers. So right now, we're not on the Tweetosphere or the Instagram llama. We haven't done that yet. But we also will be trying to live stream our concerts as well. So please, 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 people, come out and join us from wherever you are.
And the live stream will be on what platform?
Probably Facebook Live.
Okay, so we can definitely, you let us know, we'll share, you share, we'll help sharing of the sharings. And we've definitely shared your Samuel Courage Taylor clarinet quintet many a time, which is on your YouTube page. So if people have not, for whatever reason, the multiple times that we have shared this monstrous 30-minute gorgeous piece of music, check it out on Ensemble VivazzA's Sinfonietta YouTube page.
Right, that was our first program. Our first program ever. It was called Hello World, and we played the Dvorak Quintet, Opus 77, and then we played Samuel Coleridge Taylor Quintet.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Hallo Welt. Hallo Welt.
No, but it was really called Hello World.
Another example of English and German. It's fine. Wow. Thank you so much for sharing your time and your stories and your ambitions with us. It's been super enlightening to hear more about you and your various projects. And I look forward to attending some of these projects, as many of these projects as I can. Things here in Europe are definitely on the decline. So people are traveling, and I can't wait to hop on a train, get over to Germany, give you a big hug, and listen to some great music.
Or air hug.
Air hug too, Zoom hugs. Yes. So thank you so much. And for everybody who is watching, thank you. Air hugs to you as well, our fans, for tuning in every Thursday. This is our 7th and our final Founders Chat, featuring the lovely and incredible Pamela Coats. We have talked with so many wonderful people during this series, and if you've missed any of them, you can just go to our website, www.castleskins.org, and there you'll find a link to all of our 7 videos in this Founders Chat series. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you once again, Pamela. And thank you, Ash, for putting this all together. And thank you, fans, for tuning in, sharing, engaging. And we hope you've enjoyed this series as much as Ash and I have enjoyed putting it on and talking with these really simply marvelous, fantastic, and generous movers and shakers in the music world. So thank you and ciao.